episode 125 of Mastering Local Marketing. I do want to address one thing before we do that. This is a lot of episodes, and there's a lot of learning in there for any small to medium-sized business that you want to just start kind of thinking about marketing or your marketing department. And we appreciate everybody in other countries and all across America that actually listen to this. But we could use some input from you, and we would be able to take that how, Matt?
Yeah, they can email me at matt@masteringLocalMarketing.com.
All right, there it is. If you've got any ideas, something special you want us to talk about, all you got to do is matt@masteringLocalMarketing.com. Product ideas, perfect or launch it now. What your marketing strategy says about you. Some founders launch too early. Barely any, by the way. Most launch too late. They keep adding features, tweaking the product, and trying to solve every possible problem before a real customer ever gets involved. In this episode, we break down the fight between the product overthinker and the MVP founder, why overbuilding is so common, and how to know exactly what actually belongs in version 1. So Matt Hansen is a professor of digital marketing at Purdue Northwest. We're here at WJOB Studios. If you want to listen to Mastering Local Marketing anywhere you get your podcasts, it's on all the platforms. And also, it is live on YouTube right now, but you can also get the recorded version of that on YouTube at WJOB 1230 on YouTube. Matt, when you're talking about launching, this is great, and I know you do this on purpose as I'm launching another product, and you're kind of timely to this, and I will add some on this. But you bring up the point right there that in every VC conference we ever went to, there's like 99% of launches are later than they should have been. Why?
I think everybody wants everything to be perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. It's always going to be, you have to listen to your customer. I mean, there's all these different things that go into it, but everybody wants everything to be perfect before they launch something. They don't want issues along the way. But, I have probably talked to at least 7 startups in the last 2 weeks, and every single one of them is holding back, building things. I'm going to add one more feature. I'm going to do all of this. And what I keep asking them is, when is enough, right? And that's the funny part, because they're like, oh, I know. I need to just go. And the next conversation you have with them, they're like, well, I added 2 more features. I added 3 more things to it. And one of my best friends right now is working on a product, and I love him to death. And he has put every possible thing he can think into this, and now he's just, after a conversation we had last week, he goes, that's it, I'm done. Like, we got to launch. We got to go. If something comes up later, if somebody asks for something later, we'll do it, but we just got to go. So I think it takes a real strong individual to understand that you don't need everything in that first product. You need to just get something out there. The market will allow you to understand what's missing, what doesn't work, all of those types of things. But I have people that I work with on a daily basis that have to have everything perfect. And then I've worked with people in the past where that's how they are, and I go, all right, let's just try something different, right? And you know me at this point, and I know a lot of our listeners know me. We joke all the time that I'm the kind of person that, they say that roughly, I forget the number, it was something like 80% of men think that they can actually land a plane. We think that we just go and sit in the cockpit and bring it down, right? I look at things a little bit differently. I'm like, all right, let's get in the air. Let's get 50,000 feet up, and then we'll go, all right, well, how do we land this thing? I haven't the foggiest, but we got some time. We'll figure it out. But we'll get to where we need to be. We'll land this thing. So I don't overthink things. I just, let's do it. Let's get it going. Let's launch this as fast as we possibly can. And we've done some amazing things with different clients through the years where they weren't comfortable But we got them in the air, we got them flying, and we'll figure out how to land this thing as we go. So that's it's a story I tell a lot at work. It's a story I tell a lot with clients is let's get you to 50,000 feet and we'll figure it out on the way down.
Your marketing is somewhat like a MVP, there's so much change in marketing, especially with AI right now. Everybody's marketing department can at some point almost be treated as a venture capital new product because that's how fast things are going. And the main issue that I've gotten out of all of these, I mean, I've probably sat through 30 VC instruction manuals, including the whole week-long UC Berkeley one. And it all comes down to one thing. It's just go do it and then pivot. Go do it and then pivot. And people don't like that. It almost takes a specific type of personality to put it out there, have it fail, and go, oh, it didn't fit. It failed fast. Fail fast is another word in the VC vernacular. Fail fast and then pivot off of that. How can a marketing person that is organized and used to linear processes all of a sudden be thrown into a world that is moving so fast that they've got to shift and they have to put stuff out they know is not perfect. They have to put stuff out they know is probably going to fail, and they're not used to that.
I had a conversation years ago with an accountant, and the accountant said, I don't understand how you could be in marketing. I don't understand how you can test and test and test and constantly just not know the answer of what's going to happen. And I said, I don't understand how you can sit down and you can literally know exactly what's going to happen every single time. Wouldn't you be bored to death, right? So there's, from a marketing standpoint and a small business owner standpoint, you have to look at it and go, I have no idea where this is heading, but I'm in for the ride. And I'm going to go with this, and I'm going to launch it. I'm going to see what my customers say. And if they hate it, then we kill it, right? Like, okay, it's gone. If they kind of like it, that means we're on to something. Let's figure out what that something is, and let's move it forward. If we hit it out of the ballpark the first time, great. That's not going to happen every single time, right? So whether you're launching a new product, a new service, you're launching a new business venture, whatever it may be, realize that you don't have all the answers, right? So I've been doing this for well over, 27, 28 years at this point, and I don't know all the answers, and I don't pretend to know all the answers. And it's funny because I've created this circle of influence around me of those that I believe have more answers that I can lean on, right? So my daily life is surrounded by entrepreneurs, and it's funny because I'm a marketer. So the way that I look at it is, yeah, I can sit down and talk with other marketers, but am I learning anything new, right? So I've built this circle of influence that's going to provide new identities, new ideas of things that we can go out there and do. And I don't know where things are heading. I don't know what the customer landscape is, how it's going to change as we move forward, right? So like we did a podcast a couple of weeks ago on how to market to the new generation that's out right now, like coming through college. And funny enough, those of you that are listening, that was the one that kind of hit home with you. You just, our downloads went up drastically just for that one episode. So, obviously we're all looking for insights onto different things, but you can plan for the next 3 years on a product and try and launch it. And, it may be wrong. So you got to get it out there and you got to see what's wrong about it, because the faster you are, the more information is going to come in. So, again, I'm working on a project right now that should take me 3 years to launch. I told it, I set out 9 months, and now I'm at a point now where I'm looking at it in 30 days. And that's because technology is allowing me to build it faster, and we're getting out there and we're talking to customers before it even goes live. So we've identified in the last 7 days a series of customers that we're going to go out there and start talking with, and we're not even launched yet. Here's the idea. What are some of the insights that you're looking at? But this thing's coming. And, if we didn't do that, if we just sat in a back room and we didn't know what we were going to do and we launch it and we're like, oh, well, let's hope this wins. in 3 years, we're already out of the market at that point. People have already moved faster than we can. And I think, you talk about a lot about technology, and I know we talked about AI last time. Just tech it's speeding up the process so much faster.
All right, so I want to give two reflections on this. One of these is I don't know if I've ever even mentioned this in 125 episodes, but I used to stand in the pits of the Chicago Board of Trade for 20 years, and then now I've basically been doing this for 20 years. But the number one thing that stuck with me was, you got to be in the game. You got to show up in the morning. You got to put something on so you know where it is. And that your entire day is just continuing to buy or sell. And you have no idea what's going to work. You just have to let the market tell you that. That is actually ideal for the method of venture capital. And we use that a lot. And quite frankly, it turns off a lot of people about the way we do business, because it's like, all right, let's try this. And they're like, God, you failed at this, you failed at that, you failed at that. I go, those are victories, my friend. We learned a lot about that. Now, Matt and I disagree on something, and that is that I told Matt last night, I'm like, hey, we got to follow my buddy Cal Newport, who I listen to every time he does it. And he's made one of his 2 podcasts every week about AI only, and that's it. It's just, and it's a huge shift for him. But I honestly think that there is a fundamental shift right now as we record this. You and I went to a podcast conference a year ago that none of it, Adriana, who is our producer right now, went with us. None of what we learned actually applies. It's all different right now. And the same thing about marketing. You could put something together, have an idea, and have it ready in 2 days and try it.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think, again, technology is speeding things up. The way I define this, I had this conversation on Friday. Somebody asked me about AI, right? And I know you talked about Cal Newport and, all this AI, and I don't want the entire podcast to be about AI, but I feel like it's a relevant topic because you see it in all the other marketing podcasts right now. Everything is about AI, and I get it, but there's so much more, right? But, if we're talking about AI and we're talking about technology and speeding up the process and really kind of understanding that you don't need to be a coder anymore to build mobile apps and all this other stuff.
It's unbelievable, man.
Right?
They actually write the code for you right there, and especially Codex.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's all of this stuff happening, so you can, as we like to say, fail faster, learn faster, get the product out there faster. But I think, and they just announced the jobs that are going to be mostly impacted, and it's interesting to me that it's white collar, business management, finance, you name it. I mean, those are the jobs that they're talking about. Why is that? Well, it's because technology is allowing us to automate or do these things 10 times faster, which as a small business owner, you have to look at this and go, okay, that's good for me because now I'm getting all of the MBA executive level decisions on my computer that I can now implement and make these decisions faster, and it's going to help my business. Now, mind you, there's also this line, I call it, kind of like the spectrum of people that don't really understand technology at all, and then you have kind of all the way to Elon over on the right-hand side that are so beyond what most people are at. But I feel like there's a dividing line in the middle of that is happening right now. You're getting this split in the spectrum, and you've got the lower end are going to forget about it and just go, every day is just the same, right? Like the old Nine Inch Nails kind of song. But, we're over here and we're saying, nope, we're just going to keep moving how we're moving. And then there's the right side. And, I was listening to, there's a story about Cal AI, which is I think he's 19. Kid's 19 years old. He just sold his business. He was pulling in $36 million a year. I think he's on track for $70 million this year. 19 years old, went to University of Miami, and he's going to drop out of college. He's just going for the heck of it, right? But he literally built that app at home as a high school student, and he can name you hundreds of people that are doing the exact same thing right now. So there's this drastic shift happening right now where technology is taking over, and it's giving us all the tools to do everything that we need to do. And there's the split. And I know I'm scaring a lot of people that are out there, but just learn one tool. Again, it goes back to the one thing. Like, find the one thing that you can learn that's going to separate you from the next door neighbor that you're competing with, and you're going to be so much more ahead of them. So when we talk about product launches, try something, right? Like if you're like, oh, well, I want to build a mobile app that does X. Okay, well, go into Claude, start having a conversation, and next thing you know, you're going to have this mobile app ready to go in, a couple weeks, not years, right? So, if you talk to any coders that are out there, they're going to tell you 98% of all mobile apps at this point are done in AI, and then they come in and clean them up. So I guess what we're saying is, from a product launch, we've got those people that want everything perfect. In today's society, we're moving so fast with technology, and we've given you so many tools that it just like at your fingertips. I mean, we're going to talk about that in the next episode, but I mean, it is amazing to me the things that used to take me hours and hours and hours to do, I do in 1 minute at this point. So, I'm probably the one singing from the bell tower, like, we've got to do this, but most people are, I think I saw a statistic yesterday, 84% of the world has not even touched on AI yet, doesn't even know how to use this stuff. So, like, what I'm saying is, this podcast is not about AI. Today is not supposed to be about AI, but there are people that will wait and wait and wait to launch, and then there are people that will just come up with an idea this morning, and by this afternoon they'll have launched, and they'll have an idea out there, and they'll be trying something. So, how fast can you get at this point? I would rather be hanging out with those people that are, idea in the morning, launching in the afternoon. I'd rather hang out with them all day long. So find that little circle of influence and understand that, because they're going to move you faster.
So the disagreement we were having is, and I thought about it, and I think, I hate to say this, but you're right, in that most of our listeners and viewers are small to medium-sized business owners or medium-sized businesses with a marketing person or a small marketing department. And us talking about how to use AI and what it can do, I think scares some people. And we don't want to be just a technology podcast. We may have to do that separately. But you can't get away from the method of try, pivot with your marketing. That's the fundamental. That was the fundamental 20 years ago or 25 years ago, before really the internet got huge, 25, 30 years ago. And it's the same fundamental now. So when you talk about, all right, I tried something, and now you're getting customer feedback in whatever form. You could get it in a day, or let's leave the timeline out of it. How should the small to medium-sized business owner or marketing department take that feedback?
I mean, feedback is always good. When somebody tells you that it's good or bad, that's always a wonderful thing, right? So if they're coming back and saying, I tried this product, but I didn't really like this option or this element of it, start to look at that. I mean, basically, they're calling out a flaw in the product or in the service, right? So, people will use things and create problems for your product or service that you've never even thought of, right? So you're in isolation, you're looking at it, you're like, oh, this is the greatest thing. It's like, when you have a child and you're like, oh, look at my baby. And everyone's like, oh, that baby is the ugliest baby I've ever seen. It's cute, right?
Well, nice. I hope you never say that.
But that's the thing, right? Like, when you have a bad product or a bad service, people will leave reviews, they will comment on it, they will tell you, they will return things, right? So you'll get a quick understanding of what works and what doesn't. But if you're just sitting in isolation and I'm just going to launch and this is what we're going to do and that's the end of it, then quite honestly, you're never going to get real feedback on it. You're just going to prepare this thing that you think is perfect. It's taken you 3 years. You've probably aged out of the market at that point as well, right? So, that's why we need to move relatively quickly. Again, I've got this one person that I work with all the time, and they want to plan every single thing. And we, a couple years ago, we were like, all right, instead of planning everything, let's just go. Let's do this instead. And we launched a separate service in a matter of 24 hours, and nothing broke. Nobody died. We were perfectly fine. We got some feedback. We could have pivoted. We could have done a variety of things, but something that was, we can't do that we need to plan. We need to do all these things for a bunch of years. We launched in 24 hours and nothing broke.
He's Matt Hansen, and I can tell you that I have taken I got my MBA at kind of an advanced stage, but I took the classes and I loved. Obviously, I didn't really like all the email, and all the projects you made us do, and but I liked one major thing that stuck out with me, and that is the A/B testing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, try this, try that, didn't work, go with the one that worked, boom, boom, boom. And it was just get rid of the bad and go with the winner, get rid of the bad, go with the winner. But now that is even faster, and now the small to medium-sized business owner has to accept that what they thought was their baby, it was so beautiful, didn't work, and they've got to pivot off of that. Mm-hmm. That's a difficult pivot.
Yeah, it is. When I look back at the agency work that I've done over the last, years and years and years, when I first started, I was building websites. And then I realized we're not the website business anymore, right? So we had to pivot. And then we got into creative services. And then you start looking at creative services today, it's not really a great place to be. So I got into more of the media placement and finding the customers and things like that. And AI is changing that even today. Like, that's starting to die. So we're pivoting again, right? We're pivoting more into tech and speed and launching and entrepreneurship and these types of things. So, when you look at your business, there is a timeline. Like, it's going to end. There's something heading for you that you need to pivot, right? So, even if you're a local florist, right? So you had a local florist, which you served a local area. Then what happened? Then you got the 1-800-Flowers and all these. Like, there's always something coming for your business, and you need to look at it and go, am I going to continue to compete? Am I going to integrate? Am I going to change? Or am I just going to stay where I'm at, right? It doesn't matter what business you're looking at, whether it's a florist, a grocery business, an HVAC, your buddy that's an HVAC, or, the painter that just left here, right? Like, there's something that is changing constantly, and you need to evolve. You need to test. You need to understand what those pressure points are. And if you do that, you're going to be in business for a long time, while others are going to start to fail around you. And that's what we see a lot of times in local marketing, is the fact that people aren't willing to change, aren't willing to pivot. They disappear.
He's Matt Hansen. She's Adriana Alvarez, a producer. This is Mastering Local Marketing, episode 125. Tell your friends. Share it around. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Thank you.
And until next time, see you later.